The Palworld devs continue to be amazing by giving us incredible updates for the game. Even though they did their big update, they don't just ghost for months and leave the game behind. They are keeping the fans engaged and they are making their game better every day. And look at this. Summon pals take 25% less damage from all sources. So we're getting some incredible patch notes just out of nowhere from the devs, which is awesome. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, share with friends, comment your thoughts down below, and use code Verlisify for 20% off your G Fuel order. Best energy drink I've found for gaming and work. You can use it for school, do whatever. It tastes great. It's just really good stuff. Fuel your grind with G Fuel, and there might be more grind to do now. So, world settings. Meteorite and supply drop interval settings to world options. That is huge. That is very needed. Now, the thing is, supply drops are busted, so I can understand getting them like every 3 hours or so, but if you're like trying to go for a Xenoguard or some of the exclusive content behind them, look at that! Yo, wait, distance. Okay, I don't think distance is range though, and it seems like supply drops were dropping every 3 hours, so 180 minutes, which means if we drop this down to every 1 minute, that's busted, but you can effectively create a creative mode playthrough or save file as it is. So let's see how this looks. Alright, so we already had a meteor land over here, and I wonder like how many things can spawn around. Alright, we got another meteorite descent. Well, I'm just trying to catch this cell line. And there it is, a supply drop initiated. So yeah, some kind of mistranslation or something, but you can actually set the minute interval for drops and meteorite events now, which is huge. Now the thing is, supply drops are actually super busted because you get the elixirs inside of them, so just permanent stat increases and a lot of other items, but 1 in every 3 hours and a chance for it to be a meteorite event feels pretty slow. I don't know what the fair balance is, because like even then 60 minutes of game time for a nice little bump like that feels almost too long, but also when you realize the resources, like, oh yeah, you put 10 hours in and you get like 6 free elixirs, maybe that's it, you know. Once every hour is pretty good, and you can set that however you want, and then server owners now have a lot more control over that as well. So this and the other thing just makes the patch amazing, and it brings us another step closer to the full release of Palworld as just an incredible game, but summoned pals taking 25% less damage from all sources. The devs seem really careful about not making the game too easy, but also the game has shown to be too hard for almost all modern gamers at this point. Only 30% of people have beaten Lylene still, even with all the updates and stuff, and then we have all this new in-game content. And that's another thing I never understood. A lot of people complaining like, oh, there's nothing to do in the in-game. There's no post-game, so that's why no one keeps playing. But then you look at it, and only 10% of people have beaten Victor and Shadowbeak, and 1.4% have beaten Seiya at this point. Like, that was the huge summer big update, and less than 2% of players have actually experienced it. Also, even on the legendary side of things, what do you mean there's no post-game? It's like, oh, wait. People that can't beat Victor and Shadowbeak haven't caught any of the legendaries, or like 2.3% of people have experienced the raw speed of Jet Dragon, which means it's like 0.01% that actually have like a decently bred Jet Dragon or something. So you know what, the game can probably afford to be a little easier, and especially with like the new challenges like the hard mode bosses or the oil rig, yeah, pals die way too fast, or it means like you can only use legendary pals, you can only use the strongest, most upgraded pals for some of these challenges, but it shouldn't be that difficult of an endgame. I had a perfect maxed out Cognito, and it pretty much got one shot at the oil rig. So yeah, you can't really have a meta, and there's no point like training or trying to find strategy for other pals when they're just too weak to survive. And that also means like even beating some of the other bosses, okay, yeah, no one's beaten anything past Lylene, maybe make it a little bit easier. And even then, if you're trying to like survive a boss for 10 minutes and you run out of pals, it's like maybe your pal should have been around a little longer, contributing a bit more damage, and you still have to dodge as a player. So I think it actually doesn't make the game too easy, it just makes it nicer and playable. Decrease the firepower of enemies on the oil rig. Yeah, the oil rig also a little too strong, especially because like the rewards are pretty good, but it's not like, yo, really this much work, this much time, these strong of enemies for all that? No thanks. And again, when less than 1% of players have access to this content, that's like your most dedicated tryhard player base, and people even with like max bred pals or really strong gear are struggling. It's like, okay, we can dial this back just a little bit. Increase power generation from large generators. Yeah, they're super resource intensive, so they could use a little bit more energy, especially with how much oil sucks up and how much you need oil. Adjusted recovery amount of Lyleen's unique skill. Okay, I hope that was buffed, because Lyleen seems like a pretty powerful pal, so it should heal you a bit more, and no one's using that pal or skill anyways. Lowered required technology for coal mines. That makes sense. Increased purchase price food from merchants. Increased production efficiency of tomatoes and lettuce farms. Yo, salads already like OP and one of the best money making. Even better. And then meat can now be purchased from merchants. Really awesome, because like, yeah, food buffs are pretty strong, but it's kind of awkward to actually like get food buffs and work for it like that. So a lot of people just kind of skip over it, even though it is pretty necessary. So this seems like really fair buffs and balance adjustments to make the game not like too much easier, but at least playable. Which is also going to be good for an inevitable final release or an even bigger update, where it's like, oh, if the tree becomes accessible and that's like version 0.9 and then not like the complete official release, then yeah, maybe we see 1 million concurrent players again, and you want to keep those players in, sticking to the game as long as possible. And then with the full-on release and PvP or whatever else is going on with the game, these are going to give you incentives for the late game players to not get discouraged from how hard the game has gotten, and also means the average player and average gamer, which is pretty weak these days, is going to be able to stick to the game and have a good time. So base fixes: improve notifications when a work pal cannot path correctly inside the base. Good. Fixed an issue where pals would get stuck when transporting if a chest was moved or transport route was changed. Bug where fixed assignment from breeding farm would be removed when the player was not at the base. So yeah, like, it's a very complex base management game, so of course it's going to take a while to like iron out and deal with, but it gets a little better with every patch, and we're still in early access. So great on the devs right here. Pal cannot find a route to the breeding farm. They will now warp directly to it. Awesome. Yeah, we need like just more warping so pals don't get stuck, because they're not supposed to get stuck, so the warp doesn't like harm the game. Harmful random events, monster nests occurred within the base. Oh no. Measures were taken to prevent pals from getting stuck when they're unable to path correctly. To a repair kit. See, all that pathing is getting help. Collision to reduce pals getting stuck and clogging the pathing. Yes. Or at least farm collision. Yes. Which is actually huge, because if like a quarter of your base is farmed, yeah, just let them run over it. That's probably going to help production a little bit and give you a bit more efficiency, and then the pathing means no more problems. Fixed a bug where work pals would disappear instead of dropping into the pal box when the maximum number of work pals at the base was reduced in world settings. Yikes. Or at least hopefully you didn't do that, but now it's fine. Neutral area was missing around Sakurajima Tower, so that has been set. Building is no longer possible in the surrounding area. I didn't know that. Okay, so yeah, you don't get like any crazy base stuff like that. Prevented achievements from unlocking. I think a few people felt that because like, oh, you already have a save file and you have to do it all over again. Nah, so I popped in, got my achievements. That's really nice. Added some measures to address a bug where treasure chests in the oil rig could randomly disappear, and other minor bug fixes. Text, thank you for your support of Palworld. So just randomly, at the end of July, we got an incredible Palworld patch. If you're still playing or you're like trying to grind up or something, the game just got better. The game just got better. Now there's like more fun things to do or experiment with, or at least tweak and work on. You get back into the game, you test out the meteorites, maybe you drill the oil rig again, and there you go. You just got a little bit more gameplay out of it, and that only means better things for playthroughs, playing through again, getting your friends on, and then the inevitable final release of the game. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.